Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving deep into chemical bonding. This is the fundamental rulebook that explains how atoms connect to build, well, everything. From the air we breathe to the phone in your hand, it's all governed by the invisible architecture of our universe.
So you've got to wonder, what is this invisible force really? How does it all work? Well, it all boils down to a microscopic dance, a push and pull of electrons that ends up dictating the properties of every single thing we know. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with that basic attraction between atoms, then we'll look at how they actually form connections, kind of like a handshake. After that, we'll see how those connections create 3D shapes, and then how that shape determines a substance's strength. And finally, we'll tie it all back to our world. Let's get right into it.
Okay, first stop, electronegativity. I want you to think of this as the gripping power an atom has on electrons when it's in a bond. This one single property, believe it or not, is the key to predicting how pretty much any two atoms are gonna interact.
So what is it exactly? Imagine two atoms sharing a pair of electrons. Electronegativity is just a measure of how strongly each of those atoms pulls that shared pair towards itself. It is, literally, an atomic tug of war for electrons. And whichever atom pulls harder ends up with a little bit of a negative charge.
And what's so cool about this is that it's not random at all. It follows these beautiful, clear patterns on the periodic table. As you go from left to right, atoms get a stronger positive pull from their nucleus, so their electronegativity goes up. But as you go down the table, the atoms get bigger and bigger with more electron shells in the way, so their pull gets weaker. It's this really elegant, predictable system. And here's the kicker. We can use the difference in that pulling power between two atoms to predict exactly what kind of bond they'll form. If the difference is huge, one atom just rips the electron away from the other. That's an ionic bond. If the difference is tiny, they share the electrons nice and evenly. That's a non-polar covalent bond. And if it's somewhere in the middle, they share, but one atom hogs the electrons a bit. We call that a polar covalent bond.
All right, so we know why atoms are attracted to each other. But how do they actually, form the connection? For that, we're going to turn to our next big idea, valence bond theory, which basically describes the mechanics of the atomic handshake.
This theory breaks it down into 4 pretty simple steps. First, for a bond to even happen, the outer electron shells of two atoms, their orbitals, have to physically overlap. This overlap creates a shared space. Second, the electrons hanging out in that new space have to have opposite spins so they can pair up. And finally, an atom's ability to form bonds just comes down to how many unpaired electrons it has available to share. Simple as that.
Now, this whole orbital overlap thing isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. You've got 2 main types. First, there's the sigma bond. Think of this as a direct, head-on, powerful handshake. It is the strongest type of covalent bond. Then you've got the pi bond. This is more like a supportive hand on the shoulder. It's a sideways overlap that's a bit weaker, but it adds extra stability to the whole thing.
And this simple difference explains all the bonds you see out there. A single bond, that's just one of those strong, direct sigma handshakes. A double bond, well, that's one sigma bond with a pi bond reinforcing it. And a triple bond, you guessed it, one super strong sigma bond supported by 2 pi bonds.
Okay, so the atoms are connected, but how do they arrange themselves? I mean, a molecule isn't just a flat drawing, right? So let's jump to our next section and see how these bonds build a real 3-dimensional structure using something called VSEPR theory. VSPR, it stands for valence shell electron pair repulsion, but here's the real aha moment. The core idea is incredibly simple. Electron pairs are all negatively charged, so they push each other away. They will always arrange themselves around an atom to be as far apart as possible. That's it. That is the entire theory. A ridiculously simple idea with massive consequences.
And just look at what this simple repulsion does. It forces molecules into these beautiful, predictable 3D shapes. If you have 2 electron pairs, they push each other into a straight line. 3 pairs, they form a flat triangle. 4, they create a perfect tetrahedron. The entire geometry of the molecular world is really just a result of electrons trying to give each other some personal space.
So now we get to connect that tiny microscopic world to the world that we can actually see and touch. How does the type of bond and the shape of a molecule decide if something's a gas, a liquid, or a solid that's hard as a rock? Let's find out. To get this, we have to understand 2 different types of forces. First, you have intramolecular forces. These are the strong bonds inside a single molecule, like the covalent bonds holding a water molecule together. But then you have intermolecular forces. These are the much weaker attractions between separate molecules, like the force that makes 2 water molecules stick to each other.
And this is where the microworld just smacks right into our reality. Look at melting points. To melt something, you have to overcome the forces holding it together. For diamond, you have to break a massive network of super strong intramolecular covalent bonds. That takes a staggering 4,000 degrees Celsius. But for something like methane, all you have to do is overcome the super weak intermolecular forces between the molecules. That's why it melts way, way down at minus 182 degrees.
Just let that sink in for a second. A difference of over 4,000 degrees, and it's all because of the type of force you need to break. One requires shattering strong internal bonds, the other just needs to gently nudge apart some weak external attractions. That is the power of chemical bonding right there in front of you. So let's bring it all home. Why does any of this actually matter? Why should you care about atomic tug-of-wars and 3D molecular shapes? Well, as it turns out, it matters for, well, everything.
The exact 3D shape of a molecule, which we now know is all because of VSEPR theory, is what determines if it can fit into a receptor in our body and actually work as a medicine. The way silicon atoms bond is what makes it a semiconductor, which is the heart of all our electronics. It even explains everyday miracles, like why ice floats. It's because its hydrogen bonds form this rigid, open structure that's actually less dense than liquid water.
So we end on this thought. Understanding these fundamental rules of attraction and architecture, it's not just for an exam. It's the toolkit that we use to literally design the future, from brand new medicines to revolutionary new materials. So the real question is, now that we have the blueprint, what are we going to choose to build next?